Hi everyone, this is Lisa Hendricks from parkbench.com, and today I'm at the Washington Tattoo Collective on West 5th Street in Washington, 830 West 5th, on the corner of High and 5th with Kyle Scarborough, the owner. How are you, Kyle?
I'm really good. How are you doing?
Good, good. I have to admit, I did some skulking around and looked a bit at your Facebook page and some of your videos that people have done in the past, and I'm so impressed with the reviews you've gotten and how you handle even some of those not so pleasant reviews. Like you always have an answer and always have a solution, which I think a lot of business owners don't.
Right.
And I was very impressed by that. Also, super impressed with this building. I know I watched this building getting renovated, and I was shocked beyond shocked when I saw it was a tattoo shop, because it just didn't fit the stigma. So, and now that I'm in here, it is absolutely gorgeous and clean and pristine. So you've got to come check it out. Anyway, Kyle, you've got an interesting past. Can you share that with us? What's your personal history?
Well, like I kind of talked about earlier, you know, Washington's certainly been home since I was 12. We moved out here in '93. Originally North County, St. Louis. My dad was a fireman. We were able to take us and uproot us and move out here to go to the school districts out here. So that's always been a blessing. And as a result of that, even as a kid, you know, kind of fell in love with the town. So, and as my life went on, I've been a long-time artist since I was, according to my mother, since I was 3. So when I pursued that through school here in town and then through scholarships and, you know, long story short, attempted to go to colleges, Kansas City Art Institute accepted me. There's a few places I really wanted to go, but financially it wasn't there. We didn't, you know, as a family didn't have a ton of money to throw around to send go to school and whatnot, and wasn't getting the scholarships and stuff. Fortunately, East Central and Union offered me a full ride scholarship, along with my best friend of mine at the time, who's also a great artist in Kansas City now. And so we did that, but I think at that point, myself and academics in school no longer agreed with me. I attempted to keep things going artistically just with side projects and .com that I ran, and just doing you know, freelance artwork. And I got hooked up since I was a kid with the Washington Printing Press here in town. I was always doing side projects with them, so I've always had my hands in art while I carried day-to-day jobs, and then tattooing came along, which is a bit of a story into itself, but ultimately I knew that whatever I did in life had to be in Washington, and so I was, again, very blessed enough to be able to bring that back home.
Nice.
So,
well, we're glad to have you back here. That's awesome. So you've obviously done a lot of work. How long have you been opened here?
The shop itself, the Washington Tattoo Collective in of itself, is now approaching, I think we're getting close to about 5.5 years now. Okay,
so I'm sure you have had a lot of experiences with different clients, done a lot of work.
Yeah.
So does any one particular client stick out in your mind as someone special?
Oh, yeah, there's been plenty, and I was kind of racking my brain on that earlier. I'm sure after this I'm going to kick myself, because I'll think of even more people who have been really important and special in their own way. Real quick, some people always equate the special ones as being maybe artistically my favorite designs, and no, that's not true. I've done pieces that visually might not be the most stunning, attractive piece of work, but it's meaningful on such a deep level to that person, and I'm sure those will pop in my head later. But I mean, off the top of my head, there's people. There's a woman named Andrea who's been a long-time client. And you know, you become close. You become part of these people's lives in a certain way. You get invested in them. Another gentleman named Ryan. Both these folks come in from Illinois. But the biggest that sticks out is, you know, I can call him definitely a very good friend now. His name is Derek. He, when I first started. I began my apprenticeship locally. I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. The town wasn't supporting what I wanted to do. The area didn't. I knew I had to kind of go somewhere else. I actually moved out of state for a while. Was able to start working on projects that I knew would kind of try to elevate what I did more. As a result, that caught the eye of some people back in St. Louis. I was lucky enough to kind of move back home. I was only out of state for about 10 months. Moved back home, started working in a shop a little south of St. Louis, and that's where I met Derek for the first time. He was actually a client at the time of the owner of the shop that I was working for. And over the years, we always kind of stayed in touch. We both found out that we were mutual fans, comic books and all those kinds of things. And his fandom exceeds mine, and mine's pretty severe. you know, in the realm of Batman comics, especially Batman, Star Wars, and all these things. We just had such, we connected with, and we just always stayed in touch. And I was always doing work for him, and whatever shop I wound up going to, he was always there. He always followed around. So we've done a lot of pretty humorous pieces together, but it became more than just the tattoos. Again, it was just, you know, you develop a friendship with him. And actually, yeah, how long has it been? A couple of years now. He got married, and I actually officiated his wedding for him.
That's a great story.
And once my wife and I had our baby, who's getting close to 8 months now, he and his wife just had their son. I'm bad with time. Recent, he's still a newborn. So, you know, we went over there recently to spend time with them. They've moved to the Eureka area, so it's 20 or so minutes down the road now. Yeah. So we joke I got to go meet my future son-in-law. Yes. So, you know, when you kind of think about you're spending time at people's homes together, and they're going to come out here to walk with us because we all dress up as a family for Halloween and all that. You know, so we're all going to dress up as Harry Potter characters.
Very cool.
So they're going to come out, and so you think about those connections now.
Right.
To how close you become, and it started with just tattoos. So
that's nice. That's a great story. Okay, as I mentioned before, this shop in itself sets you apart, but what do you feel sets you apart from other tattoo? Is it a parlor or a shop?
We call it either one.
Either
I guess parlor is probably more of I wouldn't say outdated, it's an old school term, but
okay.
Well, it doesn't matter.
I am old school.
No, I think we are too, to a certain point. It is just it is a passion, and it's a passion for what I want the shop to be. It's a passion for what I wanted to bring to the town, what I wanted to show the people of not just Washington, but of Franklin County and the surrounding area, this place that I grew up in, what tattooing can be, and you don't have to, there's, growing up here, or even throughout my 20s when people speak of, well, you can get a tattoo, you can get this and that here, but there's a mentality that you can't get these things in a small town. It's somehow you have to go to the city to get these things. I fully admit I was one of those people. Then that was true. People get mad at me for saying it, but it's absolutely true. If you wanted things that were on a, in regards to tattooing, if you wanted things that were a little better, you had to go out of town. Whereas once, like I said, when I worked throughout St. Louis, and I was able to elevate what I did there and build a career throughout St. Louis, but I was always home. I would drive an hour back home and drive back in and drive back home. And I was able to finally bring that home. We made the decision, along with my partner here, we were able to finally nail down what we wanted to do, and you know, we fleshed out this idea, what we wanted the shop to be, and all those kind of things fell into place. And I was very particular about how exactly the shop was going to be. I was very, you know, I wasn't going to budge on certain things. It had to be not only in Washington, it had to be in downtown Washington. I wanted to be a part of that downtown Washington scene, to reinvigorate those buildings and just to be a part of that community. I wouldn't be necessarily stuck in a strip mall area or anything like that. And along with that, more than just elevated tattooing, or more than just trying to be the best that you can, was what we could do for the community. What else could we do? That's part of the name. That's why we're the Washington Tattoo Collective. We don't have a fancy name so much as quite literally what it is. It's the mindset being this collective of people, not only of artists or people who, or let's say we're from the Washington or Franklin County area, but also this idea of what a collective is, to work together with other businesses. And over these 5.5 years, on different levels and with other different outreach programs or charitable organizations we have. So that's what that name is to me. That's why we call ourselves that collective. That was the point. So it was more than just tattoos is what we could do for the community. And like we discussed, I expected to come out here and take a loss. I expected to go from what I was doing, where I was at with clientele, with how busy I was in West County, at a shop called St. Louis Tattoo Company, which those folks out there are still great, and I'm still close friends with them, and the owners were fantastic to me. If this wasn't an option for me, I would still be there because I absolutely love that shop. I didn't necessarily want to leave, but the urge to do something for my community was greater than that. So here we are as a result. So 5.5 years later. Yeah,
very nice. Well, I'm so happy that Washington was able to support you. You still have a lot of clients coming from out of town, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes. So, Well, Kyle, thank you so much for letting me sit down with you and talk to you about this. And I love the shop, like I said, and wish you the best.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.